So let's try to look at biology paper 2. So in this channel, I teach mathematics, sciences, as well as A level. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly do so that you don't miss when I never upload the video. So just have question 1. So the question is saying the diagram shows a presentation of the liver as well as the biliary system. So using the diagram to answer the questions that follow. So we have the parts from A up to E. So question A is asking us to identify A up to C. So before we identify these parts, let me just try to explain about what we have here. So here we have a presentation of the digestive system, which is involving the esophagus, this part here, the stomach, which is D, the duodenum, which is part of the small intestine. Then for the biliary system, it is involving the liver, the gallbladder, as well as common bile duct. Alright, so let me start by identifying the structure, which is A. So this one is called the liver. In terms of the metabolic functions, so whenever they ask you about the metabolic functions of the liver, you have to give them the function of the liver, what it does. For example, we can talk of production of bile, as well as detoxification of alcohols. We can talk of detoxification of alcohol, or we can talk of detoxification of poisonous. Then apart from detoxification of poisonous as well as alcohol, this liver, during fetal life, it produces red blood cell, which is RBC. Apart from that one, it also destroys or break down the used up hormones. So when hormones are being used up by target organs, they go direct to the liver, then they are eliminated. Alright. Then apart from that one, we can also include heat production as part of thermogenesis. So we can talk of heat production like that. Then in terms of the ailments of the liver, or the diseases of the liver, or the disorders, we can talk of cirrhosis. So this cirrhosis is more like the hardening of the liver. So when the liver gets hardened due to high consumption of alcohol, or due to poisonous, a person is going to suffer from cirrhosis. And when a person suffers from cirrhosis, meaning to say some of these functions which the liver is performing are going to decline, or it is not going to perform most of these functions. Then apart from that one, we also have hepatomegaly as well as hepatitis. So we have hepatitis, which is known as the inflammation hepatitis. So hepatitis is more like the inflammation of the liver when the liver gets enlarged. So mostly to treat hepatitis, you have to get an injection for hepatitis B to prevent yourself, as well as we have hepatomegaly. So hepatomegaly usually involves feeling your liver like it is burning. Inflammation. It's more like, not inflammation, but you're feeling like the organ liver is burning, like someone is burning your liver. That's what hepatomegaly focuses on. Then we have B, which is the gallbladder. So the function of gallbladder, it is to store bile. So the function of gallbladder is to store what? It is to store bile. Now let me just do this, not like this. This BL. So the function of gallbladder, it is to store bile. This gallbladder is storing bile. So now what is the function of this bile? So bile, you're going to find that it is going to contain what we call the bile salts. Now these bile salts are very, very important. It is also going to contain the bicarbonates. So bicarbonates. It is also going to contain the bicarbonates. It is also going to contain bilirubin. Now this bilirubin is an important substance which is going to add now color to the feces. So we have bilirubin. Bilirubin. Okay. Now, in terms of the function of bile salt, this one, it is going to emulsify the fats into their droplets. So emulsify fats. So when fats are emulsified, that's when they can be absorbed and transported by the lymphatic system. Alright? Then apart from that, we also have structure D, which is called the stomach. And then in terms of the disorder of the gallbladder, we can talk of gallstones. So we have the gallstones. So this gallstone is going to develop when there is accumulation of minerals when there is accumulation of minerals in the gallbladder. Remember, this gallbladder, it has also the function of concentrating bile. So it also concentrates what? Bile. So when bile is stored here, it is going to be concentrated than the bile which is released direct from the liver. So I was saying for D, it is called the stomach. Then in terms of the function of the stomach, number one, production of intrinsic factors. So these intrinsic factors are very important in that these intrinsic factors, they help in the absorption of vitamin B12. So without intrinsic factors being produced by parietal cells of the pancreas, you find that vitamin B12 can't be absorbed in the terminal ileum. Then apart from production of intrinsic factors, production of hydrochloric acid. So this hydrochloric acid, its function is one, to kill the bacterium or bacteria. Apart from killing the bacteria or bacterium, it also sets an optimum temperature for the enzyme, like we can talk of pepsin. So pepsin is activated by hydrochloric acid. Once hydrochloric acid is being produced, it is going to convert pepsinogen. Pepsinogen is inactivated form of pepsin. So hydrochloric acid is going to change pepsinogen into pepsin, which is now going to break down proteins in the stomach. So we have number one, setting up. So set up the pH. So in this case, we're talking about the acidic pH, isn't it? Because the stomach is acidic. Apart from that one, production of hormones like gastrin. Okay, so gastrin is produced in the stomach, which involves in the motility of the stomach, or which stimulate the motility of the stomach. Then we have E, which is called the common bile duct. So this is called the common bile duct. Common bile duct. So common bile duct is more like a passage or a tube that transport now bile when it is produced from the liver, or the one which is stored in the gallbladder, direct into the duodenum. Alright. Then we also have structure C, which is here. So let me just erase this one here, then write it here. So structure C is called the duodenum. Duodenum. So duodenum is part of the small intestine. So you have to know the function of the duodenum and where it is located. So this one actually, some they can say this is the pylorus, but pylorus is somewhere here. The pylorus of the stomach. And this part is the starting point of the duodenum. Now the duodenum, that is when the emulsification of fats takes place, and also it contains the blush border enzymes, which are involved in the digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, as well as other things. So answering question A, identify structure A, which is the liver. Identify structure B, which is the gallbladder, and then structure C, which is called the duodenum. Then in terms of question B, it is saying identify the function of the substance that is stored in structure B. So structure B stores bile. and bile contain bile salts, bicarbonates, all those things. So number one, they are going to emulsify the fats. So emulsify fats. And then apart from fat emulsification, they are also going to add color to the feces. So this color is going to come from bilirubin. So let me just say add color, not like this. So I'm supposed to say add color to the feces. Even this one. So add color to the feces. So those are the functions. Thank you very much for watching, and remember to subscribe for more videos.